Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Noreen. I am facilitating this presentation today, and I see everybody's jumping on. The numbers keep climbing, so we're going to give it a minute. We have a lot of RSVPs for tonight, and as you are waiting, I'm going to change my slide here, and you'll have some videos that you can open up and look at later in terms of our medical education building groundbreaking. A video also of our cohorts, first year students when we started, and then general profiles of 10 other students that have come to campus, whether they're freshmen, transfer students, so you can see about their experience here at UC Merced. While I have that up, and as people start to come in and continue to join our webinar, you will see a poll in front of you pop up on a screen, and we're just going to ask you a couple of questions. We want to see where everybody's coming from tonight. So, yep, okay, yeah, just answer those questions, and then we'll see where we're at, and get a couple more minutes so the people who RSVP join the webinar. If you are just hopping on right now, my name is Noreen, and anybody viewing this, we are answering a poll, a 2-question poll about where you're joining us from. And then just giving a little bit of time in case you wanted to save these videos to view later. Gives you additional information about medical education, SJV Prime Plus cohort, and other UC Merced students on campus. So we'll keep that poll up. And thank you again for joining us tonight. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm going to end the poll and then go ahead and start our presentation for this evening. And you are here to learn about the SJV Prime Plus program and particularly the application process, okay? So again, my name is Noreen. I'm a medical education admissions advisor. And the way the evening is going to go tonight is I'll give some updates, some quick updates. Many people here probably there are different parts of the process in terms of applying or already submitted, and you might still have some questions. So I'll give a few updates. And because some people are new to finding out about this, or we might not all have the same base knowledge, I'm going to start off with some quick information about Prime Plus, move into the application process itself, and explain the different components about it, and what the portal would look like for someone who is actually trying to submit the SJV Prime Plus portion. And then we're going to end with some other items about UC Merced that SJV Prime Plus applicants typically ask about. And I'll bring in my colleague, Sandra Pina, who can also give a summary about any UC application updates or reminders. And then as I continue to go through this presentation, you will see a Q&A button, and feel free to continue to ask your questions. We have a lot of people behind the scenes who can answer as many of those, who will be answering as many of those as we can. And then I'll also be answering those live. Okay, so we'll get started. Thank you. So the webinar you joined tonight is the November 5th webinar. There will be one more for November 18th, which is 2 days before the actual November 20th deadline. And like I said, we're focused on the actual application itself. For some quick reminders, November 20th, which is about 2 weeks away, is the UC application deadline if you intend to apply to SJV Prime Plus. What this means is if you submit the UC application on November 20th, you're actually submitting the application for all campuses. Our committee needs the application early because of the second part of the application focused on medical school. On November 21st, you will not be able to apply to Prime Plus because all of the qualifying majors will be shut off and you won't even see those as an option anymore. So as a reminder, we don't take late applications, submit everything by November 20th. Once you've submitted that, either November 20th or earlier, you'll get access to the supplemental application and the portal for submitting names and emails of your letters of recommenders. That portion is due on December 5th, the first Friday of December. Reminder, no late applications will be accepted. So on December 6th, a late application will not proceed to the committee. We'll go deeper into trying to save the application and things like that. But wanted to mention if you are not from the San Joaquin Valley and you want to proceed with an application, just as a reminder to you, the first question on the application is tied to the San Joaquin Valley. I'll go deeper into this in the screenshot, but it will give you the opportunity to answer no, and then a section that will allow you to explain why you want to be a doctor for the Central California region. In terms of submitting and knowing that everything went smoothly, you will get 3 green check marks in your portal saying everything is complete. Once everything is complete, make sure it actually says submit, because it's the submit portion that is dated when you submit it that the committee can actually read all of the application components. That's a quick run through, again, for people who are at different parts of the process and may need that just quick update. In terms of the program itself, SJV Prime Plus is considered a prime program in medical education. The University of California is committed to medical education initiatives that improve the healthcare access and the training of future doctors for regions that need it the most. And so if you hear the word prime related to the UC and related to healthcare and health access, then it's for areas of need. In terms of all the UC schools of medicine, which is 6, all 6 UC schools of medicine have a prime program. So they're committed to regions near them that need additional healthcare access or training for future doctors. If you are not interested in specific regions or areas, but you're wanting to get training as a medical doctor, then I emphasize that all the UC schools of medicine you can apply to directly once you've received your bachelor's, and you would be applying to the other programs in that school of medicine, whether it's MD, MD PhD, MD MBA, or MD MPH. Again, this is a SJV program, San Joaquin Valley program, specifically trying to serve an area of need. So anybody that is interested in the Prime Plus program particularly, it is a workforce development program to train future doctors for the San Joaquin Valley. It is an 8-year program, 15 cohort model for incoming first-time freshmen. Anybody who completes this program receives their MD degree from the UCSF School of Medicine, their Bachelor of Science from UC Merced, and they complete all clinical and medical training at UCSF Fresno. When we're speaking about San Joaquin Valley, we're speaking about these 9 counties that have the least amount of doctors relative to other parts of the state. And so the furthest county north would be San Joaquin County North in the north, and then the furthest county south would be Kern County. So what I'm going to go through in these next slides actually are the 3 SJV programs that help to train future doctors for San Joaquin Valley. We are going to focus on SJV Prime Plus because that is the high school option, and the majority of people in this audience are high school, as the high school population. But I will cover a second and a third option in case you're still trying to figure out some choices in terms of your next steps. So the SJV Prime Plus option is plus because you would complete with 2 degrees. You would come to UC Merced and finish at UCSF Fresno. You can only apply to this program as a high school senior and first-time incoming freshman. Once you are no longer a high school senior, you can't apply for this program. You would have to consider the next two. SJV MedBridge specifically works with community college students. SJV MedBridge partners with Central Valley Community Colleges, and community college students can apply to this program and integrate it while they're at the community college. This is a career exploration, medical exploration program that offers support, not just courses and seminars, but support regarding job shadowing, help with the MCAT, and then help with the application to medical school, as well as transitioning to a 4-year university. If you're interested in going to a different UC, or you're interested in a CSU or leaving the state, a lot of people consider SJV Prime or a different Prime program, because this is for those that have will have their bachelor's already, or have it already, or are career changers. And this one, again, in particular, is San Joaquin Valley Prime for those that already have their undergraduate degree or are undergrads wanting to join SJV Prime. So we'll circle back to SJV Prime Plus BS to MD. Someone that applies to this program and is offered admissions and accepts, begins their medical journey here at UC Merced, and completes their 4 years of the baccalaureate degree. They also begin their medical school at UC Merced in the new medical education building, which will be open. And all of the first year and a half of medical school, which is pre-clerkship, will occur in Merced. It's a transition to UCSF Fresno for all of the medical clinical rotation training. In terms of what is the actual offer for anyone who gets accepted, the SJV Prime Plus offer is a financial award based on their application and their financial package, priority registration in the core courses that are needed for medical school, a housing assignment on the living and learning community floor of pre-meds. There is no MCAT that's required, and the conditional acceptance to UCSF Medical School in order to complete the medical degree. What this means is you're offered and held a spot at the UCSF School of Medicine. It's a conditional offer because it is dependent on your accomplishments and success and your performance during your 4 years of undergrad. And then with successful performance, you would transition in your 5th year of the 8-year program as a first-year medical student. And then throughout the 8 years, it's community engagement, volunteerism, research, clinical observations, along with faculty mentorship throughout the program. In terms of notifications itself, there are 3 types of notifications. There'll be an offer, waitlist, or no offer. And as I mentioned before, the start of your medical journey, your medical school journey does begin at UC Merced. The Med Ed building has already broken ground, and they started building it in spring of 2024. Included in this building, besides medical education, are other departments related to public health, psychological sciences, and any health sciences research. And then there's a few shots here. As of last month, just to let you guys know, we're progressing on time. And so you can be a part of things that are happening here and be a part of really contributing to the Central Valley. These next few slides, we start segueing into the application itself. And so we'll start here with the broader view of all of the components for SJV Prime Plus application. The very first one is the UC application. The reminder is you must submit it by November 20th. Once you submit the UC completed application, you are submitting it for all the UC campuses you chose. If you miss this step on November 20th, you will not get access to the second, third, or fourth part. So again, in the next couple of weeks, the UC application needs to be completed with the Prime Plus qualifying major in order to get access to number 2. You should consider number 2 the medical school application. It is the 4 questions that were approved by the School of Medicine, and they want to know more about the context with which you're interested in being a physician for the Central Valley. Included in that is letters of recommendation for people who can speak to your potential, your ability, your accomplishments, and in becoming a future doctor. And then the 4th part, we invite people to interview. So in order to successfully and accurately complete step 1, you have to choose an SJV qualifying major. I think this is where it's easy to miss and think that you've applied to the program just by choosing a major, and I'll go into details why. But there are 4 overarching majors: biological sciences, chemistry, engineering, and public health. You can choose those 4 overarching majors or be more specific with the 7 mustard colored tracks. They're called tracks. You can do the human biology track, molecular cellular biology, development biology, etc., and choose that for Prime Plus. In the future, it is completely possible that these other majors would be approved, but for now, it'll be the 7 that are highlighted in mustard color. So when you open up your UC application and you choose UC Merced, you will get drop-down menus to choose the major. For this particular screenshot, the student here selected developmental biology by hitting major. This particular student will not receive anything from Prime Plus because they actually did not choose the major that is explicit and says SJV Prime Plus, BS to MD. This is the missed opportunity when I get notified and someone says, I applied to Prime Plus, and we have no idea that you did because we'll never get this application. Reminder again, you have to pick the major that explicitly says SJV Prime Plus in the dropdown. If you pick other ones, you're still going to be considered for that major, but the Prime Plus committee will not get that application. Moving into the differences between the UC PIQs and the supplemental PIQs, there are 8 thematic questions here for listed thematically here for the UC PIQs. Of the 8, you choose 4. Specific to SJV Prime Plus, we have listed 4 specific questions already posted on our website, and those are the questions that the School of Medicine is interested in. And so for this particular section, when you are writing these PIQs, which are due in December, you're particularly paying attention to the audience as being a medical audience. The Prime Plus committee who reads these applications are medical faculty, clinical physicians, medical researchers from the 3 partner campuses, UC Merced, UCSF, and UCSF Fresno. That is the difference between writing an SJV Prime Plus PIQ versus a regular UC PIQ. I've also been asked, can I just use the same responses or similarly from the UC PIQs onto the SJV Prime Plus? In the past, students have copied and pasted some of this, and it's to be efficient and be able to turn in the application on time, but it is actually a missed opportunity to not tell us more about you. Or as you can see, we've tried to make sure not all of the themes overlap. They used to overlap, but now that we're at 4, these are 4 specific questions for the School of Medicine that you'd have to answer. What is similar, though, is in terms of structure or completing it, the PIQs are the same as the UCs with 350-word max. It's about telling us about yourself. It's not a regurgitation of the list that's already showing of classes, awards, extracurriculars, and honors. Um, that's already in the UC application. These are narratives, and narratives to help the reader understand who you are, get a picture of who you are and who you will be as a college student, as a medical student, and as a future doctor. That we don't see in your list of courses, that we don't see in your awards or extracurriculars. So the less that we have to guess how you picture yourself as a medical student or a doctor, the better, and you're on the right track. As I mentioned before, the questions have already been posted. So even if you're someone on this Zoom right now who doesn't have access to the supplemental, hasn't turned in the UC application, this should not delay you because the questions are already posted. Getting access to the application is to be able to submit, but also get your letters of rec started. So in terms of the letters of recommendation, we want to hear from your instructors, your coaches, your counselors, or people that know you best. Okay. So you'll submit 2 names and emails of your letters of recommenders, and then make a request for them to submit on your behalf. All right. This will be done via direct entry by your recommender. There's no longer an upload of a letter that is pre-done. It's could be drafted earlier and do some copy and paste, but there are some themes that we're going to want to know from your recommender about you as a student. It's good to have at least one of the recommendations come from a STEM instructor because the medical school journey is very focused on STEM. But more than anything, all of your letters of rec should be from people who know who you are, not just witnessing you in courses or you in extracurricular, but can speak to how you interact with others, how self-aware and reflective you are. Again, the potential you'll have to be a medical student and a future doctor. The common mistakes for the letters of rec are that you have the wrong email addresses for your instructors or coaches or recommenders. Sometimes it's automatically a default to think that their email address ends in edu, and it turns out your school district is .org, .com, or .net. So if that's the case, they'll never get this request for letter of rec. The second common issue is that the request for a letter of rec ends up in their junk folder and their spam folder. This is the same for when you submit and then you want the access to the supplemental. You should always look at your junk or spam folder first. The more difficult one where the recommender has to communicate with us is when the school district has very restrictive firewalls. And so only certain emails can go to their school email addresses, in which case when they're communicating with me, they would give me an alternate email address that doesn't have a restrictive firewall. Now, this one, just by a default or maybe an unconscious mistake that students make because you're busy high school seniors, is if you do everything at the last minute and you're choosing to open the supplemental on December 3rd, December 4th, and decide to add those names in, your recommender won't even see that until December 5th, the day that it's due. And so as much as possible, the earlier you get this in, the better. And just for a graphical view, just as a reminder, because I've gotten a lot of people in the past really reiterate that they didn't get access to the letter of rec, etc. This application, the UC application, is due on the 20th. That's a week before Thanksgiving. If the first thing that you do is submit those names and they don't look at their email until after Thanksgiving, then you're really only giving your instructors maybe December 1st or 2nd or 3rd to complete this letter of rec for you. So again, the earlier that you can complete this and get access to the supplemental app, the first thing you should do when you open the supplemental app is add the names. I'll get more into this when I actually show you the screenshots of the portal. And then the final step is interviews. Once all the applications have been screened, we do invite students to interview. It's going to be estimated around February. And then that's a 30-minute interview with the student and a panel from a representative of each campus. And they want to meet you and also ask a few more questions regarding your interest in the program, interest in serving the San Joaquin Valley. It is not meant to be a repeat again of things that they've read or things that they can find. They want to find out who you are. It's not a dialogue to become friends with them. They know that you're high school students who might be really nervous. They're very kind and open, and so it's not a problem to start over, take a deep breath, and just get back to the questions. And again, this is part of the process, and invitations to interview typically will go out in January, February. So as a summary and a graphical view, students start the UC application, submit it by November 20th. They must mark UC Merced as one of the campuses because the program is at UC Merced. You have to pick a SJV Prime Plus qualifying major. What we're doing at the local end, at the campus level, is we're waiting for that UC app to come to us. The minute we receive it at the local level at UC Merced, you will get the supplemental link the same day. So if you haven't received it in 24 hours, email us, let us know, and we'll resend it again. But this is the process. Okay, so any questions so far that I need to answer live before we actually get into the Prime Plus portal screenshots? Okay. My colleagues behind the scenes will let me know. Okay. So these next few slides is actually what you will see in terms of the SJV Prime Plus portal. So you've submitted the UC application completed with a Prime Plus qualifying major. We receive it at the UC Merced level, and the minute we see that it has a qualifying major, the system in 24 hours or less will give you access to this portal through an email. That email, if some of you have turned in your UC application in October, it's probably sitting in your junk and spam folder right now. So check your junk and spam folder. When you open this email, it's going to give you a link to access our portal. The bottom left-hand URL is the portal. And the username is your UC application email. We cannot use a different email because we need to link the two. We need to make sure this application links to a UC application. From that point, it's going to pop up, update a password or create a password, and you would create your own. And then you would confirm that with a confirmation email. So this is the step. That email that you're waiting for is sitting in your junk folder. You open this email and it helps you to proceed with your username and creation of a password. The minute you have that set up, this is the landing page when you open the portal. You'll see the logo on the upper left. You'll see your name below that logo, and then a left-hand margin menu with some announcements on the right, and then the text in the middle explaining what the application is. There are two ways to access the supplemental application, either through the left menu or through the hyperlink that's listed on the bottom text. And then it should say fall 2026 is what you're applying for. And then it'll show the status. It'll say in progress, etc. The reminder is the first thing you should do when you open this supplemental application is you should submit the names and emails of your references. Now, there's a green button that shows you how to add your recommenders' names, and it starts populating at the top. Once you finish adding the names, the request sent is stamped, and it means the system already sent them a letter saying on behalf of you, you would like a letter of recommendation for the Prime Plus program. Now, it says submit date. This will continue to say send request, which means your recommender hasn't completed it at all. So you can keep sending them a reminder, or it will have a date and time stamped saying it's complete. Okay? So you can always go back to references and see if your references have submitted. If you don't know the phone numbers, you can't leave any of this blank, so just choose NA. But I'm going to continue to have the Prime Plus email below, the admissions phone number, so you can always get help if there's problems regarding the letter of rec or the portal itself. Okay, so once you've added those references, you can go to the left-hand menu and look at the application questions, and that's where you'll get started with those narratives and responses to the PIQs. But the first question, before you get to the 4 questions, is your ties to the Valley. It's the very, very first question. It will ask you in these three check buttons, which one is applies to you. So either you were born in the Valley and have been living here most of your life, you've been here for at least 4 years, living here and attending school here, or you've resided at one point in any of the 9 counties and you have experience in the 9 counties, or the last one means you don't have any ties to the Valley, you haven't lived here, you weren't born here, etc. For anybody that applies to, you can mark that button and then use the text box below to explain your interest, your motivation, and your reasons for wanting to be considered for Prime Plus and why you want to be a clinical physician for the Central Valley, California. Any questions here? Okay.
Hi, Noreen.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about this question? We've been getting students regarding their ties to the San Joaquin Valley. So in terms of like what can they share on their application?
So students share just about anything. But I guess I'm going to answer this question this way is what the committee is looking for is when it comes to ties to the Valley, is not that just you have roots here, have been living here, have experience here. It's that you are also volunteering, you're engaged with your community, what you define as your community here. You've done maybe research here, community engagement, you've been employed here. There's in some way that there's direct interaction reciprocated with the community here, understanding what the needs are. Either you've done that because of, again, your personal experience, your volunteerism, your community engagement, or through your academics. So other people have listed personal stuff, maybe relatives, family ties, and that that is fine. But at some point, in terms of being competitive, it isn't about your family's contribution or your family's links. It's about you having contributed to the Valley in some way. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay. So the next step, once you've accessed the supplemental application, you've requested your recommenders to send you an LOR, and then you've answered the questions. You'll get to the status portion if you click on it on the left-hand side, and it will list all of the things that are needed, and there'll be 3 green check marks. If it's 3 green check marks, that would include that this note here says submitted. I think this has been a confusion in the past because someone can complete the questions but never submit it, right? You can complete the responses, you have it all in there, it's saved, there's a save button, but you've never submitted your entire application. So make sure this says application submitted. That means all components are together and it's getting forwarded to the committee. Once it's been reviewed, and let's say you're one of the ones that have been invited to interview, when you go back into your portal, you will see a new tab on the left that says interview. This tab will only show up as an option if you've been invited to interview. And then when you click on these links, a calendar will show up with different appointment times to interview, and you would select your appointment time. Once you've selected your appointment time, confirmed it, it will do a screenshot of the confirmation of that date of your interview. You'll also get these details in an email. And again, that email could potentially be in the junk folder. So list Prime Plus as a known sender. And then I'm going to move into just wrapping up some just quick tips or some questions I normally get about applying, probably also linked to the question that Sandra was asking earlier. What we're looking for from students is academic rigor, especially regarding STEM, because the journey to being doctor is exponentially going to ramp up in rigor regarding STEM. And then demonstrating some dedication to a personal interest, extracurricular activity, or commitment so that we know that you can stick it out over a long period of time for something that's meaningful to you. And then the last two mention San Joaquin Valley twice. And again, because this is a San Joaquin Valley program, and so San Joaquin Valley is what's important here. Again, serving an area of need. So in this case, the committee is going to look for experiences that you had in the San Joaquin Valley, and then your commitment to some of the populations here. And you would name those in your application and your responses. As a reminder to all of you, this is actually a blind review, right? Except for the interview portion. Everything else is a blind review. We remove personal information about you, name, age, ethnicity, nationality, gender, etc. And so you could be as open as you want because they're not going to know who you are or tie it to who you are. And then you'll all need to breathe life back into the application in terms of, again, us getting to know who you are. So if there's certain things that are important to you about how you see the world, and how you interact with others, you'll be explicit about that in your UC PIQs, your SJV Prime Plus PIQs as well. And so I think sometimes too, people are asking about, what is a great SJV Prime Plus applicant? There's no scripted or molded perfect applicant. Everyone has different experiences, different accomplishments, and they want to serve different parts of the valley. Okay, and they have different interests regarding medicine or health, or which populations they want to serve. So there isn't a one type of doctor, so there isn't a one type of student that we're looking for. But what we do want to know is that you are trying to help us see that in your application is the kind of doctor you want to be in the future. Okay. And you help us with the context. You help us understand how all the choices that you made regarding academics and personal employment or cultural, etc., help shape the person that you are. And that's the person you're bringing forward to medical school or future doctor. So to wrap up a few more slides here, the UC application deadline for Prime Plus applicants is November 20th. That's in about 2 weeks. And then the rest of the application is due on December 5th. In terms of the timeline between now and spring, we are accepting applications now through December. Applicant interview invitations will go out January, February. We expect to finish our screening process and send out notifications maybe mid to end of March. And April is when you and your family are thinking about the offer. And it's also the month that the UCs typically have their open houses. And ours is called Bobcat Day, where the campus is open to everyone to see us and meet the faculty on Saturday, April 18th. And then soon afterwards, I think either that next week or the week after, we ask Prime Plus students who've been admitted to decide if they want to take their offer. May 1st is the regular UC application. I'm sorry, the UC statement of intent to register deadline. But if people have declined the offer, we move to go to the wait list in May. Okay. So, common technical barriers that we can address now, and share this with others, especially if there's like counselors or teachers here or recommenders, students, tell your friends, like a lot of the emails that we send could possibly be sitting in your junk folder right now. We are noticing that we have sent the invitation to the supplemental application for people who already completed the UC app, and it's still left blank, which means they probably haven't opened it. Another issue is that students' inboxes are actually full and they can't get more messages from us or anybody else. So clear your inbox. I have been working with a student that not only had a full inbox, they actually had a full voicemail. So even when I tried to call on the phone, I couldn't leave a voicemail. So had to reach the counselor. At that point, it's again a lot of follow-up, but these are things we can avoid. And then mark Prime Plus at ucmerced.edu as a known sender. All of the Prime Plus communications will be from that email address. Okay. And if any of you out there are MAP students or are coming from a MAP district, want to make the clarification that MAP does not guarantee you into a special program. Prime Plus is considered a special program. Honors is considered a special program. So when I say special program, it means there's another application. Okay, so a student can apply to MAP, Prime Plus, Honors, all at the same time. What you should be clear about, though, is we all have different deadlines. We all have different timelines. And so I've listed Prime Plus information, which I've been repeating as November 20th. Prime Plus at UC Merced is our email. But I'm also going to list I've listed here the honors program. Their window for applying is December through mid-spring. I've contacted the honors coordinator. They haven't set the exact date yet, but sometime in December, for sure January, you should go onto their website and find out how to apply if you're interested in these programs. The other reason why I'm mentioning the honors program is because the students who don't get into Prime Plus become really interested in the honors program because of a similar structure to Prime Plus. It's a cohort model. They have a living and learning community floor. They do research and they have faculty mentorship. And so while it is not medically focused, you could still be medically focused and get some of the services and support like Prime Plus. Next is PharmD. Been getting questions about PharmD and wanting to know about the direct admit to PharmD. If you are applying to SJV Prime Plus, you are getting an MD. Okay, if you're completing this program, you're getting an MD, you're getting a medical degree. It does not lead to the PharmD. The direct admit to PharmD is not from the high school level. So you actually have to be a UC Merced undergrad to apply to the direct admit PharmD. And as an undergrad, pre-pharm student, you would work with the School of Natural Sciences, and there is a direct pathway to the University of Pacific Pharmacy School. And I've listed here the phone numbers and the email addresses, again, trying to make sure I distinguish between PharmD and MD. But we do have this option if you end up being a UC Merced undergrad. And reminder, besides this webinar, our next one is November 18th. Thank you for joining us today. You're welcome to join that one too if you have more questions or just wanted a refresher before the deadline. My name is Noreen. I take appointments and my calendar's up. The other person taking appointments is Clarissa. She's the SJV Prime Plus student assistant, but also a fourth year pre-med student. Prime Plus was not an option when she started here at UC Merced, but has a lot of information on being pre-health and pre-med here, and also as her sites on medical school. So, any questions?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sandra Piña. I'm an admission advisor and I work closely with Noreen. Some of you might have seen me. I cover all the South Valley, so from Fresno all the way to Bakersfield. Noreen, can we go back to the letter of recommendation? I feel like a lot of our students have more questions in terms of who should the letters of recommendation be coming from? That was number one. And how many? Is it two recommendations that they need to? Because some students are saying, is it five? And where can they indicate like backup recommenders as well?
Okay. Yes, great questions. So the third component, all right, first one is the UC application, second is the supplemental questions, and the third one is the letters of rec. The committee considers a completed application when we receive two letters of recommendation. In the past, there was only two spots or spots to submit two names. And we got a lot of incomplete apps, and it wasn't at the fault of the student sometimes, right? The teacher, I've actually had teachers decline and said they weren't going to fill it out. Or I've also had teachers say they missed the deadline or they had an emergency. And so when things come up and it's not the fault of the student, we decided to build in this additional three spots to add three more names and emails so that it increases the probability that letters of rec are going to come in for you. But a completed application has two letters of rec. The five is so that there are three backups. If there's a bad email address, also, I've had students have the old email address for someone because it was a teacher at a different school or the teacher had left California, something like that. And again, people that know you well, kept in touch with you well, like you might not necessarily um, be able to reach them maybe because they've left the state or it's the holidays. It's Thanksgiving and, December. So minimum of two completed letters of rec will be a completed SJV Prime Plus application. Three is backup, and that's where the five comes in. Did I answer all the questions?
Yes, I actually have one more that just
Okay.
came in
Yeah.
regarding letters of recommendation. So a lot of students are asking if there is a specific prompt given to the recommenders or what they should ask their recommenders on like speaking on their academics. Is it a little bit personal? Is it, a mix? Can you share more information about that?
Yes. So, great question. I'm going to give you a bit of context. When in the past, when we've received some letters of rec from just as a letter, a digital letter uploaded, there are recommenders that rave about you, but we don't have any details. Like we don't know how you're going to be in teams. We don't know how you interact with others. We don't know how you are when you're challenged. Um, and for some, it's that they've witnessed you in class, period. And that doesn't necessarily help you. And so to answer your question, um, the letter of recommendation is actually a fill in the blank form. And it's typical in terms of how long do you know the student and in what capacity, but they will ask thematic questions like, your potential to be a leader or in teams or, what qualities do you have that they think would make you a good doctor. So it's not like a prompt in that is this person a leader, but it'll be based on the qualities the student has, why would they be a good doctor or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
it does. Okay, and so the second most popular question that I've received is about the major component. I know you highlighted the mustard pathways, but I think a lot of students are curious to know with this program, can they select an alternative major? I know for the UC application, so if you're applying to other UC campuses, we encourage you to select an alternative major. But Noreen, for this specific program, can a student have like a backup major?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You must pick anything in mustard as the first major, or you won't get the supplemental application link, period. It's just not going to, the system won't recognize to send it to us and then we give you the supplemental. So the first major has to be a Prime Plus major. The second or the alternate major can be anything else. But the point is, you're going to be, this person is going to be considered for development biology and then something else if they don't get into Prime Plus. So, yes, you can pick an alternate major. Some people decide to use the alternate major as another Prime Plus major. But sometimes the alternate major is anything else. I think the more popular one right now is neuroscience.
Yes. And then on that, since we're on majors,
Yeah.
when a student comes in with the SJV program, can they still do like a double major or a minor when they come to UC Merced specifically, if they're on this track?
Yes, it's a common question because a lot of the students, again, a very competitive program because all of you are very competitive and have a lot of course credit coming in, either through dual enrollment or AP. And so we get this question a lot. I'm going to finish my requirements early, or I have some room in my schedule to add other classes. You would just continue to work with your academic major and the academic advisor and the Prime Plus advisor saying you want a double major or you want a double minor. So the answer is yes, you can double major. Yes, you can major and minor for Prime Plus, only if your undergrad degree doesn't become longer in 4 years. Basically, we are projecting that you start medical school in your 5th year. If adding a double major causes you to miss entry into the medical school your 5th year, they probably won't let you add the major. So then consider a minor, because it'll probably keep you in that 4-year timeline. But it's completely possible. The question that the Department of Medical Education will always ask is, will this extend your time in undergrad? And that's the issue.
Thank you, Noreen. And then the second most asked questions is about the interviews. Does everybody get an interview? If so, for the folks that do get selected to come interview for the program, will they be provided some type of prompt guide to help them prepare for the next step?
Um, yeah, so the answer to the question is we do invite people to interview. Not everyone will be interviewed. Those that are invited to interview, same process. The email invite probably will land in your junk folder. Hopefully by then we've learned the process and it doesn't. You open up that email and then it gives you the instructions to select the interview, excuse me, interview time and date. Once you've selected that interview time and date, the confirmation email that you get gives you the tips for doing a Zoom interview. We do want you to dress professionally. You are meeting some very key people in terms of determining your potential in the program and becoming a doctor. It'll also give tips about, you know, how to answer questions, that sort of thing. And we're looking to add more resources, so that's more helpful. By the time an interview invitation goes out, there'll be more resources that will help the student.
Okay, thank you, Noreen. And then just to add like a timeline here, so it's a bit of both for SJV pathway release date, acceptance, when would students potentially be hearing back
Okay.
for that the dates too. Yes, this.
Yeah. So um, by the time, so the goal is always to send out notifications in March because that is when the UCs send out their notifications. Um, in all honesty, there's some people here on this Zoom who might actually get an early admissions and get notified in December. We will, SJV Prime Plus are not sending out notifications in December. Okay, so if you get a notification in December, it's because of a UC early admission. But Prime Plus will not be sending out notifications likely until March. for any part of the process, whether it's an offer, rejection, or a wait list.
Awesome. And then Noreen, in terms of the GPA to apply to this program, I think just reiterating again, because to apply to a UC campus, y'all, a minimum requirement is a 3.0. But for the program, we do have a different GPA. And then kind of the follow-up question after that, Noreen, is when you're in the program, do you have to maintain a certain GPA?
Yes, so minimum eligibility for your application to be considered is a 3.6 GPA for high school. That will be your final transcript, I believe. When you are in the program, you have to maintain the 3.6 um, throughout the program, and you'll get support. They'll also be monitoring if you are, slightly below that maybe, or you had trouble adjusting your freshman year. It doesn't mean you are kicked out of the program. It means, again, you're being monitored, just to see if you need more tutoring, academic support, maybe in writing or in, getting through some harder courses, that sort of thing. Or again, adjusting to the Prime Plus schedule or a STEM degree program schedule. So 3.6 is definitely what's needed to stay in the program. Um, but if you're wavering on that, they might make sure that you're getting the support that you need so that when you ramp up in academic rigor of medical school, um, you're ready for that transition too.
All right, thank you, Noreen.
Mhm.
And then finally, we are getting a lot of questions from students about their ties to this, like, the San Joaquin Valley area.
Okay.
Can you go back to that slide as
Yeah.
well?
Yes.
Students are just wanting to know, like, how they would approach this section on their application.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question, again, when you hit supplementary application question, the first question is ties to the valley. Um, the first parameter is about whether you've lived here, gone to school here, or yeah, whether you've lived here, gone to school here. That's just the first parameter, but that doesn't mean, okay, you're competitive. Again, a competitive candidate with ties to the valley is they've made contribution here to their community, to their local area, to their region. And that typically is shown, based on applications in the past, is through students' engagement through employment, through maybe a faith-based organization that they belong to. They might have done a research project, or volunteered or done some community engagement. Again, the committee is looking for how engaged and how much do you interact with the community here? How much do you understand their needs? How much do you understand what life is like here? And again, what the needs are of the communities that have healthcare concerns or healthcare needs. So it isn't just living here, being born here, or going to school here, right? But it's through the activities you have in your life or in school that show you've made contribution and have interacted with the people in the Central Valley and are actively learning about conditions of the Central Valley, especially regarding healthcare or people at risk.
Okay, Noreen, those were the very popular questions. I would just, can you share your contact information for
Yes.
Clarissa? Because I know a lot of students would definitely benefit with those. And I'm just here to remind you all, the UC application is generally due December 1st, but because you are doing this amazing program, your application should be due by November 20th in order to get the supplemental application, which, along with your letters of recommendation, are due by December 5th, which is the first Friday in December. So November 20th is the deadline for the UC application.
Yes. So I want to thank everybody. We've got a minute left here. I want to thank everybody behind the scenes that help with Q&A. If there are questions we didn't get to, please email us at primeplus@ucmerced.edu or join us at the November 18th webinar. Or again, email Clarissa or I for an appointment if there's questions we didn't get to. And again, thank you to everyone behind the scenes answering Q&A. Thank you to everyone who took time out of their evening to learn about this and all the other programs at UC Merced that other Prime Plus students have been interested in. We're looking forward to you coming to campus and visiting us, and we're also looking forward to seeing your applications. Have a good night, and thanks again. Bye-bye.